Hi everyone, welcome to Sketchyville. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made a snowflake inspired coaster, and we will also be seeing how many times I can say dots in one video. Anne had printed out these wooden coasters with her laser cutter, so that's what I'll be using as our base today, but you can also find some plain coasters on Amazon for a reasonable price. First thing we are going to do is paint the coaster with 2 coats of black acrylic paint, letting it dry completely between each coat. Now, you can use any color as the background. I just prefer black because the colors pop out more. I also prefer a matte finish acrylic paint because it's going to be easier to see your guidelines that you have to make. When you're making your guidelines, the easiest thing you can use is one of the stencils that comes in a Mandala kit. Now, I didn't do that for this, so bear with me on explaining how I did do it. After the paint is dry, I take a ruler and measure from the widest part of the coaster to find the length. Whatever that number is, find the halfway point and make a small dot with a pencil. Next, I rotate the coaster 1/4 of the way and do the same thing. Line those 2 dots up with your ruler and then draw a line across. Essentially, you're going to want to have 4 sections to start with. Then, once you have those, you'll want to make 2 more lines in the middle of those sections. Kind of like you're cutting a pizza into 8 pieces. On the plus side, because this is done in pencil, if you look at it and it doesn't look even, you can erase and try again. I used 3 different brands of paint, 2 of which I've used before. This was the first time I had used the Arteza pouring acrylic, so it was kind of an experiment. The other 2 are both brands that are marketed for painting miniatures, and also the brands I use on a regular basis. When I was first getting started with dot mandalas, Anne and Lexi both recommended them to me, and they've got the perfect consistency in my opinion. You want the thickness of your paint to be just right. Not too thin, but not too thick. I found using a thicker acrylic paint would give you peaks and it didn't lay flat like you need it to. The center dot is the trickiest of all the dots for me and can throw off the whole project if it's not close to centered. I don't think I've ever been able to get it 100% in the middle, but I just kind of adjust as I go, and seriously, if it's not perfect, nobody else is gonna know. With any mandala you do, you always want to start with smaller dots and get bigger as you work your way out. For this, I wanted to ombre these colors out from lightest to darkest. Now, if you don't have dotting tools at home, you can look around your house for other things to use, such as bobby pins, toothpicks, or even the ends of paintbrushes. When I got to the darkest color, I gave it a silver crown, as I like to call it. I continued making these crowns for each color as the piece grew. With these crowns, you only need to dip your tool once for each side, and that will give you the varying sizes you need. Once I had gone through all of my colors and got back to the lightest, I gave it a final crown and it was time to turn this thing into a snowflake. Following my guides and doing exactly 4 dots, I made the first extension towards the edges. Then I did 3 dots on both sides stemming out from the biggest of those 4 dots. I added some more dots on top of my largest of the dark blue to fill in some space because it felt like it was missing something. That's what I love about doing this style of art. You can really add just a few more dots and it changes the whole look and brings it together. Now comes the layering of the dots. This is completely optional, but I think it gives some depth and draws the eye in. And starting off strong, you may or may not have noticed the very first dot I did when I started the layering in the center is lopsided. Again, nobody else will notice. The way I did the second layer of dots for this is basically whatever color was directly above or below it is the color I use. So, for the darkest blue, I put the robin eggs blue on top of it and vice versa. Also, I'm noticing this dark blue doesn't show up great on camera, so hopefully you'll be able to see it when I show you the finished project. Alright, so I know I just said nobody will notice that dot that I messed up in the center, but it's really bothering me, so I'm gonna add a third dot to try and cover that up a little bit. Give me a break. I'm a little bit neurotic, okay? If you have bad eyes, you might want to grab a magnifying glass for this part. It's my absolute least favorite part, but it must be done. Remember those guidelines we drew in pencil? Yeah, we gotta get rid of any of those remaining bits that are showing. Using a tiny brush and a small amount of our base color, we're gonna go in and lightly cover what's still visible. Also, if you're anything like me, you're also gonna wanna be shaking the entire time to make it that much harder. Once you're finished with that, I would let this sit for at least an hour, if not 2, just to be safe. Go run errands, take a nap, or, my personal favorite, watch a murder documentary while you wait. After that's dry, we're gonna start to top it with triple thick, but you could also use a spray finish or even resin if that's your thing. This triple thick is actually a pretty cool product. Not only does it leave it shiny and protect it, but it kind of levels everything out too so you don't have texture from the dots. If you're using the triple thick, you can really glob it on because it does do some self-leveling. And now you let it sit. I always like to give things extra time to dry or cure, so I would wait 24 hours before actually using this as a coaster. So this is the final piece. I really like how it came out, and it's giving me Frozen vibes, which is very in touch with the weather the Midwest has been having for the last few weeks. Thanks for joining me today. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and hit the bell to get reminders for upcoming videos of all the fun projects we are working on. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram to see our weekly blog posts, or head over to TikTok to see some bloopers that are filled with lots of colorful language. Okay, bye!